Hi, I'm Anton and this is my Scratch Kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make this. Okay, this is a cinnamon roll. It's got cinnamon, sugar, nice dough, lots of goodness inside. So I'll show you how we're going to make the dough. It's a special way of mixing it up, but you'll see, and it's real good, and after we make it, you get to eat it. So this morning we're going to make some cinnamon rolls. They are apparently pretty famous, so people like them, buy them. We'll show you how to make them. So we're going to start with about a quarter teaspoon of cardamom. So we'll throw that right in there, and then about a heaped teaspoon of yeast that we'll add to that. About a quarter cup of sugar. All right, and then we'll do about a half egg pre-scrambled. All right, so we'll scoop all of that in there. All right, and I like to get, as you can see, the last little bit, so I use a really flexible rubber spatula because I want to make sure we get it all. Okay, and I use one of these mini spatulas and try and mix those guys up. All right, best we can. All right, and then we're going to add about a half a cup of milk in there, and actually a 3/4 cup. And you just want to check for temperature, because if you go over on temperature, you want to be around 110. We're at about 95. If you go over on temp, you'll actually kill the yeast, and then your product won't proof up. So you want to not do that. This is pretty cool, so this shouldn't have any issue. If it's warm, then it'll just burn it dead. So you don't want to do that. So now we'll leave this a little bit, and this can actually proof a little bit. All right, so let's leave that one side. All right, and then what you're going to do is you're going to need about 2.5 cups of flour, a little bit of salt. You don't want to put the salt in the yeast because it'll also kill the yeast. So we want to try and give this a few seconds, and then we'll add the flour and we'll add the salt, and once all of that's in, we're going to stick it in the mixer over here instead of doing it by hand, because it takes forever. So we're a commercial business, so we've got to try and find the most efficient ways of doing things. So we try and use machines where we can, just automate as far as possible. So all of this will go in the machine, and then we'll mix it up. Okay, so we're going to add the flour into our mixture over here. All right. All right, let's put that down there and add the salt, and then we're gonna stick this in the mixer, get all of that to mix up. All right. Okay, so we're gonna start this mixer up. All right. And then get that to start mixing. So I'm making a really small batch this morning, otherwise it's going to take forever. So I'm making a real small batch, so it's going to take some time for this to mix up, and I'm probably going to have to use a long spatula to dig in there just so this can get mixed up. So we'll leave this to mix. So I generally have a boiling pot of water, hot water, because you're always melting stuff, heating stuff, and water seems to be a real gentle way of doing that. So I'm going to stick the butter in the pot of water, let that melt up. All right, and while this is melting, we're going to go over here and take care of our mixture over here. All right, so we're going to try and get this all sorted out and mixed up. All right, so this can form a nice kind of dough here. Yeah, nothing's perfect. So The paddle is a little bit coarse to use this, so I use a dough hook. All right, and as you can see, the dough hook needs some assistance, but it's almost there, almost there. All right, that looks good. That looks good. All right, we're gonna stop this guy over there. All right, because we've got to put that butter in. So let me go and work on the butter a little bit more. All right, make sure this melts up. That's all you want to do, and be careful, the water's hot. All right, so you want to make sure you don't burn your fingers, or worse, because you know, boiling water is dangerous. All right, so there we go. That I think is about as good as we need it to be. All right, and then this we're gonna stick back in here. All right, let me just move that just for a second. All right, so we'll get this guy in here. And you don't want to boil the water or the butter. You don't want to boil it. You just want to get it melted. Otherwise, you probably lose some of the moisture out of it, because butter does have, normal butter has some water in it, so you don't want to evaporate that. You want the whole product in there. And now the fun starts, because this guy's all slick and slippery. All right, so we're going to have to get him to incorporate the butter into the dough to make it nice and rich and soft and, you know, buttery, as a cinnamon roll should be. Let's get that done. All right, there we go. Because it's such a small batch, you know, it needs a little bit of help. So we'll, if you've got a smaller machine, that'll obviously help as well. All right, almost there. Okay. There we go. All mixed up. Oop. All right, this is around about what you're looking for. So it's kind of sticky. All right, kind of sticky. So you'll see it's kind of sticky. So let's look at that. It's kind of sticky, but it doesn't really stick to your fingers too much. So we have to ball this and put it back in its container so it can rest a little bit. So we're gonna get all of this off the hook as best we can. All right. Now this doesn't have a lot of yeast in it, so it proofs real slow. So I don't necessarily wait for it to double in its size, which is kind of the rule of thumb you work with. All right, so let me just grab something over this side, which I didn't get earlier. All right, some flour just helps, so this guy doesn't get stuck to your hands too much. All right, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab this guy. I'm gonna slowly, gently roll it, form it. All right, we're gonna ball it a little bit, stick it in itself, stretch that gluten over the top. All right, make a nice ball out of it. All right, and there we go. Put that guy back. Now gets covered and it's going to rest. So I've grabbed some cellophane, so I'm just covering it up so this can actually sit and rest now, because you don't want it to dry. You know, you don't want this to dry out. You want this to remain moist, and it's going to actually proof up. Now I don't know if it'll go double its size. It'll probably go 1.5 times, just about. So about 1.5 times its size, and then we can start working with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to make 3 big cinnamon rolls, and we're going to make about 4, I think about 8 small ones, and that'll be what we're going to do with this. All right, so now it's about 45 minutes worth of wait, and then we're ready to work with that again. Okay, well, welcome back. Our time has lapsed approximately 45 minutes. So this is what it looks like now. So you can see it's increased in size, probably about 1.5 times, I guess, maybe double. You know, it's slow, not a lot of yeast in the cinnamon rolls. So let's pop that guy out. All right, let's get him out of there. All right, and okay, so let's weigh this. Actually, I could just do it straight on the scale. All right, because we want to divide this up into one big and two smaller balls. All right, so we're looking at about 640 grams. So I'm going to put some flour on a pan here so they can stand again and they can proof a second time. All right, so you're looking at about 320 grams for the one. So we make the big ones out of that one. All right. All right, so around about 320 grams. All right, we take that guy, and now what we're going to do is we're going to form him, and we're going to ball him, and we're going to put him away so he can relax and reproof again. So there's one, and then this one we want to split in two, so 321, looking at about 160 grams a ball. By the way, it helps if you can kind of do basic, is it what, rudimentary math? Rudimentary math in your head, just for little things like this. All right, so there we go. These are our balls, so they can stand now again, proof a little bit, and then we're going to roll them out. We're going to make the actual cinnamon rolls. So there we go. Okay, so these guys have proofed a little bit, so what we're going to do is we're going to roll them out now, and then we're going to start making some cinnamon rolls. So let's get some flour on the table here. Okay, so let's get this guy. And if it's a bit sticky on top, you can of course put some flour on the top. These seem to be all right. Hey. Unless it does that, of course, then we want to put some flour on it. You want to stretch it out because you want to get 3 big cinnamon rolls out of this. So you need to stretch it a little bit. I'm going to move my scale. Gives me some working room. All right, and you'll note, just as a side note, I've got these little green rings on my roller. That means I'm not going to completely flatten my dough. Get them pretty much anywhere. You can just buy a couple, get yourself a flat roller if you want. That way, I just find I work better that way because I don't have to pay so much attention to the thickness of the dough. I can just go out and roll it. All right, and you'll see that this dough is pretty pliable, so you can grab it, you can kind of stretch it a little bit, you know, so just get it what you want. And we're looking for, let me grab something here, we're looking for about 12 inches of width, so you can get 4 or 3 4-inch rolls out of this. All right, so that's where you want to kind of be at. So don't go too high because you won't get the width, but you don't want to go too low because then you won't get the rolls. You want it to be kind of rolled up nicely. You know, you can stretch it a little bit and play with it a little bit. So be careful for you stretch it too much, you'll break it. And if it's broken, you know, maybe you're lucky if it's a small tear, it'll be all right, but otherwise it'll have a hole in it. Okay. So that's close to where we want to be. And then again, we're going to melt some butter because these guys get some melted butter on them. All right. Okay, so all right, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna pop my butter in there. All right, let that melt. And then what I'm gonna do while we wait for that, I'm gonna roll one of the small ones. All right, let me move this out the way here. Put that over there. Got some space to work. So these will be the small ones. I normally try and do about a 10 inch on this, and I'll get 4 small rolls, 10 inches in length total, so about 2 inches, 2.5 inches a roll. And I try and kind of just divide them half and half, something like that. All right, so we basically have these guys ready to go. All right, and we're gonna see what our butter looks like. If that's good, then we're ready to roll. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's go a little bit. There we go. Okay, all right, so you're gonna use this guy. It's kind of about a 3/4 ladle and about a third, maybe. That guy over there. All right, now just gonna get the butter sorted out all around. All right, and then we're gonna put some cinnamon on it. Then we're gonna throw some cinnamon sugar and we're gonna roll it up. All right, good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. So the small ones are good for kids. The big ones are really good. They're big, so you maybe don't want to give a kid a whole one, maybe a half one. And that's why we started making the smaller ones, because of requests for them. All right, there we go. Now, cinnamon. So I don't weigh this. It's just kind of needs to look good. I'll just throw it out of my little shaker. All right, there we go. So just nicely covered. Same with this guy, nicely covered. And you don't want to overkill the cinnamon. You don't want clumps on there. You don't want it to kind of not look too nice. All right, so now we're gonna take this and pour it over this. So this is a cinnamon sugar mixture, which is simple. It's like whatever your sugar, about 10% of your sugar is cinnamon. So if you put 100 grams of cinnamon or 100 grams of sugar, just do a 10 grams of cinnamon. Somewhere around there. That should taste fine. You can do that for whatever your cinnamon sugar needs are. You know, pancakes or whatever. That's about the ratio we use. The reason I don't throw it all over is it falls out, so I try and clamp it down in one place. So all right, now gonna roll this guy over. So you're gonna roll this guy over a little bit, and all you're doing is you're just basically rolling it up. All right, there we go. This out a little bit just to square it up. All right, and there we go. One roll. Same with this guy. All right, you kind of roll it up, roll it up. Can just check, like I can see my butter here is not set very well yet, so it might squeeze out. You don't want that. All right, because you don't want to lose product. And what we do for that, flip this guy over like that and roll him down. There we go. All right. So let's see where we're at. That's about 12 inches. All right, just mark it and mark it and check your sizes. This one may be a bit bigger. We cut it through there. That one about there. There we go. There's your 3 cinnamon rolls. All right, let's see where we're at with a small one. Got about 9 inches. All right, so we can just pull on it and tug on it a little bit. All right, still around 9. So let's do 4.5. All right, so that's about right. We'll do it about there. All right, there's one, there's one. Try and get it kind of in the middle, over there, and over there. So there's your 4 small ones. All right, now we're going to put them on a pan. So again, baking pan, baking sheet. All right, so just lightly spray your baking sheet with some pan spray. All right, and then we're going to pack these guys on the baking sheet. I'm going to do these in the middle. I'll do the small ones on the side. So just a tip. So I'll show you that. That's the seam on the middle one. So because it's going to proof up, this likes to unroll itself. All right, so what I try and do is I try and balance it on that seam and just squeeze it down a little bit. On the rest, they normally fall back, so they kind of sit on their seam a little bit. All right, but the middle one doesn't. So that one likes to unroll itself. When you see again, you got half your cinnamon roll unrolled. All right, so put these guys in here. All right, we'll roll out the last one, pack it this side, and then we're done. Okay, so for the cinnamon rolls, we got an icing we put on top. So I'm just going to quickly explain how we do that. So there are 2 things. First, there's a base. So we use an egg wash. It's egg, I'd say probably 1 scrambled egg, 5 to 10 grams of water, mix it up. And that's what we're going to baste it with. And then we've got the icing, which has got some cream, milk, butter, a little bit of salt, and some cream cheese. So you're looking at about a tablespoon of butter, tablespoon of milk, tablespoon of heavy cream, probably 2 pinches of salt, and about a tablespoon of cream cheese. We're going to get that to room temperature, mix it all up. And once it's mixed up, you put about I'd say probably a 1/3 cup icing sugar in that. And then over the heat, mix it in, heat it to about, I don't know, 150, 160 degrees. And then that we're going to pour on top of the cinnamon roll, and it'll kind of come out something like that. That'll be the icing for the cinnamon roll. Okay, so we are back with the cinnamon rolls. They have proofed up a little bit. So we're going to put the egg wash on them now. Okay, so the egg wash has basically a scrambled egg, and 5 to 10 grams of water mixed in. That's the basic egg wash we use. All right, and we're gonna baste these guys up. Now if you do a bad job on the egg wash, it's gonna show in your final product. So whatever you miss, you're gonna have kind of pale or white spots on your product. You try and spend a bit of extra time on this. Make sure you get it right. We all have gone through that, where our product doesn't come out perfect because the egg wash is not that good. All right, so I'm gonna try and get this as good as possible. Try not, and then also the other thing here is you want to not stab your cinnamon rolls with your brush, because they've proofed up, so they're all soft, and you don't really want to end up sticking dents in them like I did there. You know, it'll probably come out when it bakes, but you want to try and avoid that as best you can. All right, let's just turn this guy around, get to this side. And if there's some flour on your cinnamon roll, you want to try and break through the flour with the egg wash, otherwise it's not going to bake, it's not going to brown nicely. Oh, that's all. All right, try and do this. Alright, so I'm going to lift this thing up to the light just so I can see. You see under here is normally where we like to miss a little bit. Try and get it down there, all around the sides, because these lips will proof up when it bakes. Try and get it all over the sides a little bit. Alright, right at the bottom. Alright. Okay. This almost takes longer than anything else. Well, it feels like it. You can, if you want, you can baste the sides. I don't really baste the sides, so really up to you. You want to spend a little bit more time doing it, that's fine. Maybe some nice bits sticking out like here, like that, you would want to probably do. Like that part there you would want to do. But like this doesn't matter. This part doesn't matter, this you want to do. Alright, so any bits that's kind of plain. Alright, so we'll see once this comes out of the oven, we'll see what this looks like, how our basting job was. Alright, so this is going in the oven. Ooh. Sure, yeah. Alright. See you 15 minutes. Okay, so all we're doing is just mixing up the ingredients for the icing. All right, so I'm just breaking up the cream cheese. All right, and this, you know, it's not a lot today because I'm only making a few cinnamon rolls. Normally this is a whole pot full for what we do here. But to show you guys, so you just want to mix it in. You can use a spoon or a ladle. I find using the mixer mixes it best. Alright, and then we'll add the sugar. And we'll add the sugar in here. Alright, it's just to break up. You'll see there's like bits of cream cheese in there. So you just want to incorporate that into your mixture. Alright, and get it all mixed up. That way it won't be clumpy. Alright, so I'm going to use a spatula because I only got a little bit in here today, just to show you guys how to do this. So let me scrape that together. Alright, and I'm going to mix that up a little bit. Alright, so that's kind of what you're looking for. Kind of a milky texture, a little bit thickish, like a heavy cream, almost that kind of consistency. Alright, and then we're going to add the sugar. So you're going to put the icing sugar, like I said, it's about a 2/3 cup. Alright, and we're going to mix this up on the heat and get this to melt. And that's why I use the high pot, otherwise icing sugar just goes everywhere. We'll get this to about 150, 160. You'll see the consistency. See, this is what it's starting to look like. We just keep mixing it to get the clots out. And then as soon as it's warm enough, it'll be almost like a pour icing, and we can just pour it over. Cinnamon rolls are going to be out shortly, So as soon as they come out, we're going to stop with this. We're going to take them, or as soon as they're done, we're going to take them out of the oven. Okay. Here we go. Those are the cinnamon rolls. All right, so let me get a grate here real quick. Okay, get the cinnamon rolls off here. All right, so this is the icing. We're just finishing it off. You can already see it's almost there. So let's see quickly where we are for temperature. Yeah, we're good. Temperature is good. We're at about 160. All right. Okay, so now the proof is in the pudding. All right, so this is finalizing the cinnamon rolls. All right, and you can see the nice white contrast of the icing against the nice brown body of the cinnamon roll. All right, and that's basically that. Small ones for the children, everything else is for me. All right, well, there we go. Now you get to taste it. Okay, so let's see what this guy looks like. It's still warm. All right, there we go. This is one of the small ones. All right, let's try this. That's pretty good.